Afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Thursday's Market Situation Report, or SITREP here at Top Gun Options. My name is Matthew Buckley. I'm the founder and CEO here at Top Gun Options, and we are knocking out our final full throttle live trade brief at 1 o'clock Eastern. You need to register if you haven't registered yet, obviously by going to go.topgunoptions.com/FT, and that stands for full throttle. We're going to wrap up the week we did so far. We had a great session last night, a sample full throttle training session where we covered a tactic called an iron condor. Yesterday, in our accelerated retirement live trade brief, we looked at a top secret tactic called a bullish double vertical on volatility. I think this market is way over its ski tips right now. We're entering kind of this dead period in front of earnings and kind of a dead period in front of potential China announcement. I think the market is set to roll over, and we're looking at a trade that can see explosive profit if and when the market rolls over. As I said, we've kind of topped out here. We just failed to retake this or burst through this 2,800 level. It is a, you ready for this, sextuple top. Never in my trading career have I seen a market try and hit a resistance level 6 times and fail. That is not bullish. If you missed anything this week, all of the replays from our live trade briefs are on this page right here. go.topgunoptions.com/FT replay. And that obviously stands for full throttle replay. So what's going on here, folks? Trade talks. Mnuchin and all those guys got over there. It is Thursday. They're in China talking. Beijing reportedly open to major concessions on technology transfers and cloud computing. Ladies and gentlemen, I am starting to get the sense that China is going to agree to almost whatever we want. Why? Because they're not going to live up to it. As Professor Jeremy Siegel said on CNBC earlier this week, I've been saying this for about a month and a half to 2 months. We're going to get a short-term pop on news that we have a trade deal, and then we are absolutely going to drop. It is going to be a sell on the news event. Again, that's why we looked at this bullish double vertical on VXX. This trade is risking about $5,300 to potentially make almost close to $10,000. Limited risk trade on a hedge against this market imploding. This trade brings in a credit of about $2,300. You're getting paid $2,300 to have some insurance on that could potentially pay off $10,000 when this market, notice I didn't say if, when this market sells on the trade deal. The president looks like a fool. He's out there almost every day saying we're going to have a huge, great trade deal. It's awesome. Nobody does deals better than me. However, Ambassador Lighthizer, our trade rep, says what? We're working on it. If there's a great deal to be gotten, we'll get it. If not, we're going to find another plan. I'm not super bullish anymore on this trade deal, folks. If you are, you don't know who China is. They steal everything that isn't nailed down. They subsidize their own companies. They took over half the Pacific under Barack Hussein Obama, and we did nothing. This isn't about trade, folks. It's about China's strategic dominance. So kind of don't follow the shiny red ball that is known as the trade deal. Look behind the scenes, folks, and it's not good. So China, I think at this point, is just going to say, you got it, man. They're going to look like they put up a good fight. We'll end up signing something, and then the market's going to recognize it's not worth the paper it's printed on, okay? And, you know, that's one of the sticking points, allegedly, is the enforcement mechanism. What if we sign this deal and a year from now we recognize that China hasn't changed anything? We're going to be back into a trade war, or maybe even worse. I mean, the vice president recently announced that we're putting a dude back on the moon in 5 years. Why? Because China's doing the same thing. We got a space race against China. We have a Pacific issue with China, and we have a trade deal with China, or a trade issue with China. And I don't know, folks. Get long volatility and get a hedge on. U.S. stocks waver as investors weigh growth concerns. GDP came in a little bit weak. GDP data showed U.S. growth slowed, and the 10-year falls below 2.4%. Guess what we're also doing right now? The buyback blackout period marks another hurdle for stock. What's going on, folks? We're in a holding pattern. To the right side of this chart, in this big white space, is about a month until earnings, and kind of all quiet on the China trade deal front. What can happen? We can implode here, folks, so make sure you're hedged. The number one buyer of the S&P 500 year to date has been who? Say it with me. The S&P 500. This has been a stock buyback rally. This has not been an institutional rally. This has been a little bit of a mom and pop rally, but no offense to the little old lady in tennis shoes, but this just ain't enough to keep this propped up. I'm calling this the MacGyver market, right? Being held up by a string, a paperclip, and a rubber band. It's just not looking good. Beware gamma gravity. S&P 2725 opens a trapdoor where? Back down to the December lows. Just showed you folks trade for about $5,000 in risk. You could potentially double your money and make 10 grand if this market rolls over and volatility spikes, which I fully believe is going to happen. The Fed's dead. The Fed died a couple weeks ago when the Fed came out and became uber dove, and now we're even talking about potential rate cuts this year. The Fed's funds futures rate is actually pricing in maybe 1 to 2 rate cuts. This is insanity. Back on October 3rd, the Federal Reserve, we're on autopilot, man. We're going to get 2, maybe even 3 rate increases this year. What happened between October 3rd and now? Either the Fed's lying to us or they saw the equity market absolutely implode, and that became their third unofficial mandate, which is to prop up stocks. And when, not if, when the market figures out that the Fed ain't strong enough to prop up stocks, that's when the Fred Sanford, or the big one, is absolutely going to happen. Piece of shit Facebook news. This is your daily update that Facebook is an awful company and an awful stock to own. Facebook charged with violating fair housing laws. Charges from HUD accuse the social media firm of letting advertisers discriminate by race, national origin, religion, and more. I was a realtor in Texas. This is ginormous. You can't discriminate based on these folks. Facebook, all over it, man. Facebook sucks, guys. I don't want to be super hypocritical because we do have our Facebook Top Gun options. Very, very close to getting off of it and ditching that completely. Not doing that much for sales, and it sucks. It's a time sump, and it's not good. My kids don't even know what Facebook is. Obviously, they're on Instagram, but even that's starting to die a slow death. And what happened to Google? A couple weeks ago, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff sat in front of the Senate and said they're working with the Chinese military. What happened yesterday? Sanjay Pichari, whatever the hell his name is, the CEO of Google, crawled into the White House and kissed Trump's ass. Trump says Google CEO totally committed to the U.S. military. What an absolute lie, Mr. President. 4 months ago, Google canceled a Pentagon contract because they said the Pentagon is not aligned with our values. Right? Your chairman of the Joint Chiefs sat in front of the Senate and said they're cooperating with the Chinese military. You look like a jackass, Mr. President. Stop it. Google is not committed to the U.S. military. All the facts say otherwise. I don't care if the dude sat in front of you and said they are. He's as big of a liar as you are. Stop looking like a jackass with these statements. And finally, JP Morgan cutting hundreds of jobs in asset management. That's a little bit of a canary in the coal mine. JP Morgan, Jamie Dimon, kind of seen as a solid financial. We got it out of JP Morgan about 11 months ago. These Wall Street blue blood banks are dead. Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, JP Morgan, they're done. You ain't going to see these guys rise anytime soon, especially with the Fed talking about interest rate cuts. Done. If anything, short the banks and short the regional banks into the dirt. What's that? The KRE? Let's take a look at ever since the Fed really died. Take a look at look at that, man. Boom. This is a dead cat bounce right here. I would sell against this dead cat bounce. The regional banks are dead with the Fed talking about interest rate cuts. Okay, I got to get going. We got to open up the room at 1 o'clock. Like I said, make sure you head to go.topgunoptions.com/FT and you can grab your slot, and you can also have access to all of the replays that we've done this week. And finally, if you're ready to get airborne with your Full Throttle annual or monthly membership, all you need to do is head to go.topgunoptions.com/GetFT. That stands for Get Full Throttle. Annual memberships are right here on the screen from $19.95 up to $29.95. If you're interested in a monthly, just click on the image there and it'll take you to our potential monthly memberships. Okay, I got to go. Have a great rest of your day. I'll be back with Friday's market wrap up. God bless. We'll see.